All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe, and let's party. Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party, guys. That is the best part, so make sure you're here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and you will never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Let's also say thank you to my6shirt.com, the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at my6shirt.com. All right. We have got a show for you guys today. So I'm sure that you know that stuff is going down in Israel, and I don't really know a lot about it. So I have brought some guests with me. Please welcome Jerkolani and Frosthound. Welcome to the party, guys. How we doing?
Oh, absolutely fantastic.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So I guess just before we start, why don't we just to go around, Jerkolani, let's start with you. And what is what kind of do you know about, like, how into this topic are you? Where are you coming from, and what kind of biases do you have?
I'm real deep in it. I'm Jewish. I'm also
Sorry.
I'm also 25% Navajo Indian. So I don't know. I think I'm coming at it from a pretty even perspective. We'll see.
Fair enough. And welcome back to Frosttown. Good to see you again, brother. And how about you? We know that you're a historian extraordinaire, but how about this specifically? What kind of perspective are you coming at this from?
Well, so I did need to bring this up, especially for your viewers, right off the bat. I am a biased source when it comes to this. I am going to do my best to argue this as center of the road as I can, as I can. But fundamentally, I am a Zionist. Being a Zionist simply means you do believe in the Jews having a homeland.
Beautiful. All right, so I think probably the easiest place to start is where most of us kind of start. Like what kind of put this on the map for a lot of us was this video of the looked like a music festival or whatever it was, and it was getting attacked by Hamas. I don't know what you would call them, soldiers or fighters, or so. Let's take a look at that.
Insurgents.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Palestinian militant group launched its biggest attack on Israel in years, firing rockets and tearing down the border between Israel and the Gaza Strip. Damn. The Supernova Dance Festival was going on, and 3 miles from the Gaza border where Hamas militants are based. My kind of vibe. And then you can see in the background paratroopers coming in, and they're like, yo, you gotta get out. One man opened fire, chases people out. And so, I mean, just seconds ago. And so, I mean, you guys get the point that in seconds, it went from to the worst possible thing you could think of. Shout out to David Banner in the building. Welcome. We got Rabbi Glickman in the building. Hello to Soil to Soul and Unwanted Foe. Welcome to the party, guys. So, Jerkolani, let's go to you first. What is your take on this whole thing?
Honestly, that's like the most tame video that we've seen. I've seen, I don't even think you can say it on YouTube. I think you would get like removed. But the word starts with R, and it's an active one. And then
call it RPay on this channel.
Yeah, RPay. Fuck, dude. I mean, and they bring this girl to the back of a wooden bed pickup truck and unalive this woman via ammunition. I'm trying to be as
You're doing great.
and throw her in like she's cattle. This woman, and by the way, that woman wasn't even fucking Israeli, German, came for the music festival.
Right, she was a tourist, right? Crazy.
Yeah.
Dual citizen. She was Israeli and German.
Oh, okay.
But
Either way,
like, you know, these people who are not a part of the government, like being a part of the military is not a participating factor in like being the prime minister or any governing body. Like they just are required by law to participate in the government. So like you could call it a casualty of war, whatever the fuck you want to call it, but this is not an appropriate response. You can't do this and then say I'd like peace talks immediately thereafter. What is that even supposed to mean?
Yeah. So and that's getting a little we'll definitely get into what has happened since then. But Frosthound, what's your take on all this?
I mean, it was definitely a shocking use of force. There has been many arguments that have been made that the music festival was just a target of opportunity. In any kind of military operations, you have your main targets and certain goals you want to achieve with force and violence of action. The airdropping troops into the music festival, this was just a mass casualty event. And this is one of those things where it is unacceptable and cannot just say, hey, fighters on the ground in the heat of battle, did this in the throes of battle, in a battle fury. No, this was a targeted attack. This was pre-planned. That's when you would use paratroopers to actually go in and quickly attack a position. And if we're talking about normal military forces, set up a forward advance for your incoming troops.
Okay. So why don't let's rewind and I have a very hard time trying to find any just like we were talking with Ukraine for us town, that it's very difficult to find any like entry level the first thing you need to know about this stuff. So like obviously I know it's a broad question, but how did this conflict start?
In the sense go ahead.
No, you go first. I got notes. So I might take a while.
There is two senses of this conflict here. There is the geopolitical conflict, and there is also a definite religious conflict. Both, people have a claim to the area. During the crusading times, there was a kingdom for the Jews in the area, so there is a blood connection there. But what happened 47-48 was, after the Second World War, all the Jews that were taken from the Holocaust and still survived were given a land by the British. England kind of went around, hey, who wants to take in this refugee population? And they're like, don't really want to. But Britain had control over this land. And there's a whole argument to be made here with Lawrence of Arabia and the Arabs during the First World War. But basically, the British had control of the area, and they decided to cede this land over to the Holocaust survivors.
Okay. Jerkolani?
So I have a couple things to add to that.
Please.
So after the First World War, England promised to give up a homeland to Jews because of the fact that they were being persecuted widely across Europe. It was, they were stigmatized. They would make all those, like essentially, I don't even know what you'd call them, like those blackface versions for Jews. So like the big hook nose and like they're taking your money. That's where a lot of that, like the shifty Jew stuff, that's where it started.
Okay.
Was the First World War. So England promised them a homeland and they didn't do it. And the Holocaust happened. And a year after the Second World War ended, the people who were Jewish living in Europe said, you promised us a thing and you never delivered. So the UN got together and they had to make all these shifts. And because after the First World War, the Ottomans lost and England took over what was then called New Jordan, I believe. But they had named that specific region Palestine somewhere in this like the 7th century. And it was mostly unoccupied land. There's, I think, around like 750,000 people who lived there. And it's about the size of New Jersey. They moved them to the West Bank and to Gaza, but there was actually more land mass. In that argument, what ended up happening was Jordan and Egypt were like, this is a great time to take our land back. So they invaded via something called, I believe, the PLO, which is a group of Islamic countries that are surrounding Israel, and took a significant amount of land, the Muslim land that would now be called Palestine.
Gotcha. So, so then fast forwarding back to kind of with all this happening, it's obvious that it's a very difficult, like almost like chicken and egg kind of situation. Like who started this? Where does it go back to? And we're kind of in this situation now where it's like like Froston said, that both sides have claim. And so what exactly are the at least today, what are really the two opposing positions of that are at odds?
Well, the major issue that a lot of pro-Palestine people do have was, the idea of Zionist militias coming in 47, 48 and actually driving a bunch of people from their homes and relocating them into Gaza. Max he was on Timcast last night. I was listening to him, and I extremely disagree with the gentleman. He does have a point there that most of the people who are in Gaza right now, 80% of them are refugees, who are kind of, shuffled into this ghetto. There's definitely some major issues there. So you've been living there, for generations and then just forced out. And for 75 years, you've had to kind of live under this occupying force. So there can be some resentment there. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a question because I'll forget because I'm stupid.
Yeah, go ahead.
But the thing is that weren't the Jews forced out of their homes in like the 1600s and forced to wander? Like literally, we have plants named after that. Like there's like stories told about the wandering Jew. It was because Islamic people forced them out of their land.
And that's and so that's really what we're talking about. Those are the two those are the two sides. Is that the kind of and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more of like we were here first versus like, well, where the fuck else are we supposed to go?
No, it's not even that. So like Israel, the monarchy of Israel, or the Israelite monarch, was created in 1,000 years before even modern time. Like before, and technically 1,700 years before Islam would even exist. So, because we go backward in time, so like BC is like it goes from like one backward and then this way forward. And they were in the 7th century. The 7th century is when Medina and Mecca were created. So respectively, Saudi Arabia and Iran now. Where eventually the Ottomans were a participating factor in spreading Islam.
I mean, it goes before the Ottomans. We can go to the Mamluk Empire. We can go to Muhammad himself uniting the area. Just because cities were formed there, and we have a strict lineage there, doesn't mean there weren't people who were traveling around the area. Many of these Arab cultures are nomadic, kind of moving between these areas at a time. There was settlements, don't get me wrong, but it was very much a nomadic tradition. So just because
of Judaism didn't start until the 1700s, when they were forced to leave. Like Jews did not roam until the 1700s. So like saying that they didn't have a home is kind of ironic. It's like when we say like, oh, Native Americans didn't have a place where they lived, they just all wandered around. That's not true for all tribes of Native Americans. Some of them did have a home, and we did force them out.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. So let's put a pin. Let's put a pin. Let's put a pin in that. And shout out to Xander Crew. Welcome to the party. He said, as an American, I think we have a greater chance of safety with Israel than any Islamic country. They hate us deeply, and they're incredibly aggressive, religious, and militant. Which I, you know, on its face, I definitely agree with. And you know, obviously, you know, I want to understand the conflict from the perspective of the people who are there. But at the end of the day, I am an American, and what I care about most is American safety and American lives. So I wanted to show you guys this this video here, and just get your thoughts.
Lord, it's gonna be some liberal, isn't it?
Do you know how long it takes to gaslight yourself to actually believe that oppressed people will one day not want to rise up against their oppressor? How can you place someone under such extreme circumstances and not expect for them to one day be like, I'm done? Hypothetically speaking, let's say that you live in a heavily policed apartheid state. You have minimal resources, no military. Your opposition has the attention of the media, the empathy of the media. The strongest Western countries have already declared their support for them. And they possess the largest and strongest military in the Middle East because they have full support and financial backings from most Western countries, including the United States. If you can call this a fair fight, then you need to go ahead and say that you are pro-ethnic cleansing and you are pro-Palestinian genocide. Because, baby, if the stats are looking like this and have been looking like this, and your first response to the violence is, well, Hamas, I already know what you are implying.
Let me fuck this
So
argument.
I was gonna say, so let's stop there. And Jerkolani, you look like you are ready to attack. So please, what is so like the backdrop to all of this before you go off is I'm very confused as to how we see a lot of the street level American culture war stuff that people don't seem to understand, and yet they are taking sides and are so rah for something that they clearly don't understand. And now that I'm not understanding the nuances of this conflict, and then I see these same people who don't know shit about what's going on here take a side so quickly. Please go off.
I found one poll and went, "That's it, girl. I'm going to show this on TikTok as if I'm an authority or I understand anything about theology or migration or history." She's coming at it from a Black perspective, and you want to know what? Hey. We all have different opinions, and that's fine. She clearly didn't grow up in apartheid because she speaks perfect English, but I digress. Facts. I bet you she lives in some nice little cute suburb screaming at white people that they're racist. Looks like that's the situation there. But so I wrote down some notes, and I have a history of each time, because it said the violence and death toll, which this could all be true, but the amount of times that the PLO or then became Hamas, because Hamas got literally voted in as the Senate in Palestine. They run their country in 2007. We have in 1948 they signed 1987 they signed peace accords. Then after, there would be a 9-year war between Palestine and Israel.
So while that's happening, where is it, and how relevant and important is it to decipher the Palestinian government and military from Hamas?
They're no different. They really aren't. I mean, if you want to think about like the percentages, like if you really want to talk about it, right? Like, let's talk about the amount of people
we here, baby, we here,
who are jihadists and who are Islamists. That has shifted in the last 5 to 7 years to be about 40% of their fucking population. 40% of 1 billion people, it's 400 million people, are either in the government believing in the Hadith, which is that's not even a book you want to get into currently, or are willing to commit acts of violence and kill themselves as a form of martyrdom for their religion.
Rabbi Glickman saying, what are you saying that's an ADL talking point?
That's an ADL talking point.
I don't know. I'm just in the middle here.
It's a talking point to talk about numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. Well, no, not yet that it is, but it definitely seems like that there is a especially for the amount of time that Hamas has been able to do these things. If it were despite the Palestinian government, again, coming from the outside in a place of ignorance, it would make sense that the Palestinian government would want to squash that because it's not making them look good.
Well, officially in 2007, it was a codified doctrine that they would participate as their version of their body of Senate. Hamas.
Well,
group
so
of Hamas.
I need to just jump in here real quick and just make a quick point. After Hamas was elected in, but after Hamas was elected in, they did go out and target their political opponents, and there hasn't been an election quite since. Saying like everyone in Palestine is pro Hamas is kind of an over exaggeration because there's a lot of people who are just going with the flow. Even with our revolution, it was about 20 to 30% of people who were actually active in the conflict for the Revolutionary War. So there's people who are actively trying to push a narrative, push a point and win political victories. And then there's our people who are just like, I want to feed my kid. I want, to, live my life. So, there is those people as well.
There's also
wherever there's unrest, there's going to be people who are innocent. But real quick, let's shout out to Xander Cruz with the $10 super chat. And of course, every single donation comes with a treat for my co-host, Morty. Thank you, sir. That is the puppy. Yeah, he's right here.
I didn't know that you had a puppy. Is he a dachshund?
No, he is a half Chihuahua, half Golden Doodle. So Xander Cruz says we must view what is happening as Americans and in the best interest of America and the West. I agree. Islamic leaders chant death to America and literally yell they want Islam in every household, even if by force. Yeah, so this is why I have trouble because I was just talking. It's so weird because I mean, I think I have a clip that is saved in my drafts right now from a stream last week. That was like, hey guys, remember when we were talking about Islamic terrorism? Whatever happened to that? And I certainly wasn't calling for it, but I was just like, it's so amazing how that seemed to no longer be a problem. Obviously, that it was not no longer a problem.
Jesus, okay, you knew it for profit. We understand.
I definitely didn't know it. But it's rearing its head again. And from the last time that it was what we were all talking about, I don't see what has changed in terms of the ideology that's behind these people who are looking to take over, looking at saying death to America and trying to spread Islam by any means necessary. I
mean, there is none. So like, the difference between what American Muslims are and who people who live out in the Middle East is their religion rules their land in a lot of places. Afghanistan, for example, you're not allowed to listen to music. Music is against the law. If you possess a vagina, you are legally not allowed to walk in a park, not without a man. Yep. 0, you're not allowed there. You'll get arrested. Hijabs are mandatory. Like, there's no separation of church and state. So all of these liberals who are screaming at the top of their lungs, like apartheid. Yeah, but apartheid was about race. It had nothing to do with religion and beliefs, right? Like,
and so they're talking about apartheid, like South American apartheid.
Correct, which had mostly to do with the color of someone's skin.
Yeah.
And nothing to do with, the fact that if they were ruling our households, you would lose your sexual freedom, your reproductive rights, and LGBTQ rights, or whatever the rest of that goes. All of those.
We can get rid of those. Just kidding.
The rest of it kind of is not real because I'm in my 30s and I don't remember them ever adding on anything until like 2009. So I say the T because trans does count, whatever, and then the rest goes like questioning. I'm not playing this game with you.
Shout out to Poon Cooter. Welcome. ahead,
I
Russell.
do need to push back a tiny bit, and it's a little bit funny that the scientist is the one arguing for Islam here. There is fundamental Islam, and then there is a more moderate Islam. So countries like Iran, that is a theocratic state where imams and it's actually a fundamental Islamic tradition. It's not the same for every country in the Middle East. A lot of countries like Iraq, pre Desert Storm was a modern country. It has had a major kind of issue with U.S. intervention. U.S. intervention has really destabilized the area and has led to a more fundamental Islam, coming to power. Because when your chips are down, there's not a whole lot people look towards, and one of those things that people do look towards is religion. And that the people who are screaming the loudest is like, I'm the fundamentalist, you need to listen to me.
And hey, as a diehard atheist, I tend to agree that, and I mean, this is an aside, but they're the ones that are actually following the religion. So if you don't want to be what they're doing, then maybe you should pick a different religion. But that's a whole other story.
Apostasy is punishable by death in a lot of these countries, and apostasy is also leaving the religion.
Yep, that's it. Scott Joseph, welcome to the party, said after murdering babies and paying women, Hamas needs to find out. The Palestinians in Gaza cheered murder and Arpay dancing, singing, and eating cake. So that brings us to the question of what is reasonable for Israel to do in response.
We need to blame England and be like, hey, yo, you take care of this. This shit's your fucking mess. Time to clean it up. You didn't clean it up in 1918. We should do that now, though, because you took a long time. This could have all been solved at some point, but like you procrastinated. It's kind of like when a kid doesn't do their chores. Like you need to participate and also help fund this now.
And where do you? So if we're saying that Britain needs to fix this, then obviously as being allied, where does that put Americans? Are we? Should we have boots on the ground? Should we be sending money? Should we be sending ammunitions?
We already are. It's effectively a Cold War.
Well, so I do have a bit of a different point of view on this. I don't believe America necessarily needs to have military intervention or any major kind of funding. The Israeli IDF is one of the most powerful militaries in the area.
Number 5,
yeah, their defense force is something to behold. And we see this with the 6-Day War. We see that Israel can stand on its own. Indian, I actually messaged you a few days ago, and I had made a prediction about why Hamas actually made these attacks. And I do feel like I have been quite vindicated on my prediction, because Hamas cannot win this war in any sense of the militaristic matter. And what they've done is really driven the Israelis into a blood frenzy, and they are wanting civilians to be targeted, to cause outrage and to cause other Islamic states to go in and declare war on Israel. As far as that would require military intervention, because like it or not, Israel is an ally, and it's also a strategic strong point for Western powers in the area. That is a foothold nation, and it's basically a fort nation. And say what you want. I could be pessimistic. I could be militaristic, but I'm going to call a spade a spade. Israel is our refueling depot and our foothold into any Middle Eastern conflict.
So I think that's a good place from an American perspective to dive in and to say, okay, what do we want to happen here? And so can you explain a little bit more about why Israel is so advantageous to America?
Well, so you have the proximity to the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal brings trade all throughout the Mediterranean into I'm forgetting the sea over there, but it basically bypasses all of the African Horn and all the African coast.
You got one of these maps here.
That's a local map. Need more of a need a geographical map of the area, but
Let's see
that is a standpoint where a lot of geopolitical conflict today is based around trade and energy. So it's not that big of a deal, but as well as that, it's also a refueling station for Western powers if we needed to go into the Near East there. Of course, we have bases in Japan and South Korea and the Philippines and Australia. That's one side of the conflict, but we also can refuel planes in Israel and go attack attacks of opportunity, possibly against the Chinese or any kind of Eastern threat on that eastern border there. Well, we have the West kind of covered with our Blue Water Navy.
Okay, and that makes perfect sense. But as Rabbi Glickman is saying, if their military is so strong and Hamas can't win this, then do the Americans or the British, for that matter, need to get involved at all?
I feel like we might be getting trolled, by the way, because his name is Rabbi Glickman, which is like
he's who he is. Trust me, he is
Really?
this guy. He is Rabbi Glickman all the way. I mean, I don't know if he's really a rabbi, but he's really he has these kind of opinions all the time. He is who he is.
Saying like he has a picture of an old man.
Oh, I know that. I know.
With a cowboy hat on.
Welcome to the internet. Welcome to the internet. I'm aware. But he has a point, does he not?
Well, do they need us? It's also we need them in a weird way, in my opinion. We
need them to exist, but we don't need them. And so if they can exist on their own, we don't need their military help right now. So should they be sending soldiers over here because they need us? We're not in trouble. We can handle ourselves. If they can handle themselves, why are we sending anything over there?
We send them weapons and we send them money.
That's what I'm asking. Why?
And it's also a important target for American infrastructure. The Intel factory is based in Israel, so that is another major component of modern American lifestyles is computing technology. And the Intel factory there, multi-billion-dollar factory that makes all the processors there, and so much so that they actually make these processors with light. And you can, I'm willing to put money on it right now. After these attacks, we are actually going to see issues with Intel processors that have been manufactured during this period, because they won't be as many i9s. It's going to be i7s. A lesser product there, but that
cute.
Sorry,
but
I said, you computer nerds. It's so cute.
Not me. I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. So, but
it is an important military,
like, look at my new insert name of a computer piece here, and I'm like, please tell me there's an RGB keyboard, RGB. And I'm like,
I got the RGB. Let's go. But that's because whatever. It came up with it. But hey, Rabbi's question has not been answered. So again, why do they need us to fight on their behalf?
In my opinion, we don't.
And so, like Soil is saying, if their military is so strong, in big part because we have been funding them, we have been sending them intelligence, we have been sending them money, we have been sending them munitions.
So I don't.
Do we need to get involved, or do we need to get further involved? I guess I should say.
I think that we're going to end up doing the following, and we're going to probably send them more. It will be more of a version of a Cold War. Honestly, we'll be sending them, we'll be funding them like we did Iran during the previous Cold War. And we'll kind of like what we're doing in Ukraine right now, which is such a dumb fucking idea.
Yeah. Guys, real quick, if I can ask you a huge favor, can I just get 5 more likes, please? We got 13 in here and only 6 likes, please. It is so easy. It's free. Just tap it and we're done. Sorry about that, guys. I mean, I do see a lot of parallels with what's going on in Ukraine, and I'm seeing a lot of the same rhetoric about how we need to do this and we need to do that and we need to play world police. And I mean, aside from the fact that, thank you for the likes, guys. Aside from the fact that we have, what's the word I'm looking for? Like agreements in place, I'm still just like questioning them. Are these even good deals that were made so long ago that the fighting's been going on? It's getting, it keeps flaring up like this. maybe it's time to be like, you either figure your shit out or stop tying us to this.
Well, and that's the kind of question, because I do believe Israel could. There's a possibility Israel could stand on its own. It's not a very strong possibility, but a lot of it is it is not just a give relationship. It is a give and take. Israeli intelligence is some of the best intelligence in the world, and we can go into the conspiracy theories of the Mossad actually knew about this attack beforehand, and they let it happen to finally do an ethnic genocide on the people of Gaza. That is an argument. But that's the same argument, that Bush knew about 9/11 before it happened.
But they told when he unfroze $8 billion for those hostages, which is, by the way, unheard of in any sort of these were like 4 useless human beings. I think it was like 4 to 6. Like
they were American citizens, but
yeah, but useless to the American people. Like, if they would have died, it would have been a tragedy, sure. But like, what difference would it have made? Did they have intel? No. Were they any high ranking of anything? No. So you had these hostages, and when he unfroze that money, they specifically said, we are going to use this money to buy weapons. And they are the largest funder of Hamas. So why wouldn't Hamas also get those weapons? And guess where they came from? All those weapons we left in fucking Afghanistan.
Yeah,
no, I'm in total and complete agreement on that. And so the rabbi here, a Zionist does not necessarily have to be every world and political view of someone. I just, as a Christian, and I know Indian and I have had discussions on this. As a person of faith, I do have a certain and this is not rational. This is not my military hat on. This is just my faith hat, that's coming on that says, no, I support, as cliche as it is, God's chosen people. But, again, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not using this as a militaristic, ideas. I'm not forming any kind of tactics off, these personal beliefs I have.
Well, but isn't that how we got here in the first place? Isn't that what how we got here in the first place of allowing this thought that there is such a thing? Not allowing, but perpetuating this thought that there is such a thing as God's chosen people. Isn't that how we got here?
Okay, and I'm not going to defend Israel or Judaism in any iteration, but the word religion is so vast, right? It's like saying every type of meat is the same type of meat.
What?
But hear me out. Like,
I'm listening.
There are violent religions and there are more non-violent religions. The
Sure.
least non-violent religions is called Jains. They're actually from India. Jains, whatever. They don't even fucking like to eat garlic because you got to pull it up from the goddamn dirt and you might disturb a bug. It's absurd. Literally, like they're scared that you're going to kill a worm. Am I an atheist? I'm agnostic. I don't know. I've had some weird shit happen to me, so I'm like not real sure.
We are
like
okay.
Most
fair enough.
American Jews.
I probably should have asked more specifically if you are a practicing Jew or just more.
I've been bat mitzvahed and I've read the Torah enough, and I drop the Jew card almost every day, so it's like I might as well be.
Can we hear some Yiddish?
I speak enough functional Yiddish? I worked in a kosher deli all throughout college.
I mean, can we just get a little bit of Yiddish?
Just a little taste.
I would put a cough drop and a Listerine strip in my mouth because I start to get phlegmy. I'm not joking.
Shout out to Melted Mind Media here, another awesome YouTuber. I dropped the link to his channel in the chat before. Definitely go check him out. Has a good question. Just what happens when we don't negotiate with terrorists? What happened to that?
Like the right where it's like, we should just bomb all of Palestine and build a synagogue. And at some point that might be the situation. However, you also have to think Egypt and Jordan are right there. In Jordan, we do a lot of trade with Jordan, a lot of trade. It's the only place that doesn't have any import tax to the same extent that it does anywhere else in the world. It's our road through China. There's a lot of like logistical things that would make it harder. We're having a problem like putting shit on our shelves right now.
Right.
Pissing off somebody.
So why don't we play that out? Like, let's say that we see the fighting continue to escalate, and so like right now we're not in a position like who was just saying. Scott Joseph was just saying again, the Israelis are not asking for boots on the ground.
No, they're not.
And like not yet. But if things continue to escalate, let's say that they are asking for boots on the ground. What happens if we do send American troops? What happens if we don't send American troops?
So I think it's going to be something similar. I think we have to look at this in a way of like, what is the violence going to look like? Right? Like if the violence continues, I'm sorry, I've been chiefing my vape. You literally just took your first hit and I feel like such a fucking fiend right now.
I've been going. We all been going. We're all fiends here.
So I think if it escalates and we don't get involved, it'll be something like World War II where we come out not looking so clean. And like we waited for our own benefit.
Okay. I have seen a lot of people saying like, "Oh, this is worse than the Holocaust already," and which maybe it will, but it seems very early to say that kind of thing.
Not one psychotic person who is himself the same religion that he fucking hates, and the warmongering begins.
Well, no.
Listen, I'm gonna find you and marry you because you're also Jewish, and my mom will probably really like it.
Go ahead, Brosnan.
The point of warmongering here is, I am one of those people who have, I've mentioned how the IDF can handle it, by themselves right now. This is a flashpoint right now, though. We are seeing tensions like we saw in the Balkans during the First World War. This has the potentiality to bring more people into the war. The best bet right now is to try and, I hate to say calm, things down, because Israel has all the, just going off what we've seen in the past week, they are completely in the right for their actions. We can talk about historically, what the Israelis have done and, how this could be a bubbling point up to it. But right now there is enough fervor within the American population, within the, Western populations, that Israel can basically do no wrong now. We are actually seeing some major people pushing back, but it is one of those things where I do highly suggest caution.
Fair enough, and I don't think it's cliche at all to say that we want things to we want things to calm down. We don't want war to escalate. We don't want people to die. That's not cliche at all. Shout out to Rabbi Glickman shooting his shot, and shout out to Tom Brokaw. Welcome to the party. Said Israel will ask for money, but they won't need American soldiers. Israel has never had problems winning wars on their own. Okay, fair enough. So
hold on, I need to cover up because I'm not being No.
I'm trying to run it out here. Come on. Let him fly. Let's go.
Shoulders.
Nah, we like every other channel. We love to say how horrible it is to be a whore of a woman, but we love to see titties. Come on.
Do I gotta kind of
and wants me to be honored for him, and wants me to be he wants me to cover my shoulder, my elbows on my wrists. Sorry, boo. I'm so sorry.
I think he's enjoying the show. I'm just saying. I think he's enjoying the show. But so let's dive into the specifics of the Gaza Strip. So as I understand, there what is the I guess maybe it's better to just throw it to you guys. What is the story with the Gaza Strip being called an open air prison? What exactly is it? How did it come to be?
They call it a bunch of things. So the land was not as occupied as it is now by Jews. Not saying that's an excuse or anything. Between the West Bank and Gaza, there's about 700, almost 800,000 Palestinians, and that's a mixture of Christians and Muslims. Majority Muslims. I think about 1% is actually Christian. Our women.
You don't worry about the comments, all right? You're giving us a great knowledge here. Melted Mind Media said you a baddie. See, the crowd is loving it. The crowd is loving it, but not just for what they are seeing, what they are hearing. What is it that you were saying?
So, it is horrible that we took people from their ancestral homes and we moved them somewhere that They did not want to be, but that's not the fault of Israel. That's the fault of the UN, who created this situation. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they were the ones that drew these borders. Like, they could have given them far more land. This was a problem from 80 years ago. And that's why a two-state solution should exist, but you have to choose what side of the fucking country. It can't be both. We can't do both, man. That's
So before we get there, though, what? So we were talking about again specifically the Gaza Strip. What was the circumstances?
Like, call them the ghetto, or like basically
the largest open air prison. Why is it being called that? And one of those reasons is simply for security. There was a lot of smuggling that was coming in. Hamas has a habit of smuggling in rockets, and these are not intelligent rockets. These are fire and forget rockets who are on a set trajectory that will go on. These are equivalent to anyone who's a weapon expert in your chat, the screaming memes of the Second World War, where it is just a lot of fuel and an explosive round that will explode on impact. Gotcha. So one of the reasons that was for security there, and that is one of the kind of points of contention where it is very hard for anyone to leave Palestine without any kind of passport, without being kind of having a citizenship and papers to go through there. And this is where you will get a lot of the I'm sorry?
Because the one side of Gaza is water. It's the coast.
Well, that's the West Bank.
Because the maps.
So the West Bank is on the coast. Gaza, I believe, is landlocked. Last time I checked.
I reversed it. I'm sorry. No, they both have a body of water next to them, I believe.
Pull this up, because I'm shooting. From
oh my god! Here. Of course they give me the smallest picture ever. Hold on. All right. Well.
Yeah, so it's on that left side, and then right by that water on the right hand side. It meets the bottom.
I cannot see that.
You zoom in a little bit on the right hand side, kind of by that. Like,
we did. Is this too zoomed in?
Well, there's nothing else there. Not like the whole map.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is too zoomed in.
Did the map change?
Yeah. So I'm trying to find a clearer picture of this map. But this is this you're saying zoom in. So this is zoomed in of that. This is just here.
I actually flipped that around because the West Bank actually has a map to the sea. It is the Gaza Strip that actually has the access to the waterway. And please forgive me, like I was shooting from the hip there, but this is also where you also get the chant from the river to the sea. And this is basically, saying take over all of Israel and, give it back to Palestine. And that is, tangentially endorsing genocide, a full removal of the Jewish people.
Gotcha. And so then we get to this idea of a two-state solution. What exactly? I mean, obviously, it's in the name, two states. But what would the logistics? How would that work out? And why hasn't it? Because that's something that I've heard since before I was like when I was learning about this in like middle school and stuff. I heard about the two-state solution, and doesn't seem like there's any solution.
Well, and see, this is kind of the reason why I could be mistaken, but I believe, using the term apartheid really doesn't fit here because they do have their own functioning government in those areas for the most part. So it's no one keeping them out of political office, based off their race. But it is one of the issues where if we fully have them be their own country, that's an own airport, that's allowing, more people to stage within the area, and which could lead to more extremists coming in from other nations to really cause trouble within Israel. At least that's my shooting from the hip kind of view on this. Why Israel does control it so much, because they almost have a opposition force within their borders. So it is one of those things where the open air prison thing is a horrible thing, but I do believe there is a major failing on the Islamic states around there who are not willing to take these people in, because again, most of these people are refugees. You have Islamic states all around. You have Jordan, you have Syria, you have Egypt, you have all these other nations that
Saudi Arabia.
possibly, who could take in these people and give them a Iran. Iran is the local
Xander.
power in the area.
Interesting. So we have a question here from Xander Crew, the sponsor of the stream, who I forgot to put in the banner, but now has been perfectly erected. It says, Jerkolani, do you believe if Jews were to give up the land and go elsewhere, hypothetically, would they still be hunted down by Muslims for being Jewish, even if not in that land anymore?
So I'm part of a Discord, and there's this one guy who lives in Morocco, and he's been sold this like horror story of what Jews do to Muslims and how they want to eradicate them from the earth. And it's not true. They don't want to eradicate Muslims from the earth. They needed a place to live, and now they need to defend that land. And obviously after World War II, they were very defensive of anywhere they lived. So, I mean, I think that if they were to move anywhere, especially in the Middle East, I think whatever prime minister or Netanyahu currently would definitely have a fastball on his head. I mean, there would definitely be ramifications to moving them. Yes.
Because I mean, it is a good question, because a lot of it comes down to the idea that they're right here, or that's the Holy Land, and so that's very interesting of how much danger would specifically the civilians be in if they weren't right there?
Well, that's the fucked up part. There's no civilians. There are 0 civilians in Israel. Every single person who lives there is required by law to join the military.
But what about children?
Yeah,
children are the only civilians technically that live in Israel.
Well, and just in general, just like innocent people.
Not non-Jews, yeah. So like there are some non-Jews that do live in Israel. It's not many, but there are.
Somebody said if that were true, why would they send warnings before firing?
Who?
The Jews. The Jews typically do signal that get out of the area. We are about to bomb this area. Hamas does have a doctrine of setting up their missile batteries in hospitals, in schools, in populated areas to make the Jews look so bad. But let's not say the Jews are completely blameless in there. There was Operation Summer Rain, which was a idea to cause, and again, I take this with a grain of salt. This is taken from a biased source. But the idea was to cause mass casualty events, to cause the people of Gaza to actually give up the people of Hamas. But take that with a grain of salt.
Jerkolani, agree with that?
Yeah, I mean.
Okay, so I have.
Is capable of being civil, while the other side is used to a way of fighting, or I mean, and this is a relatively new thing for them, though, like bombings and suicide bombings, and kind of the way that they've been fighting is like probably the last 20 or 30 years they've been fighting like this. It has not always been to this degree.
This drastic, right? Yeah, and I mean, again, we have there's no sign that anything is slowing down or doing anything but escalating. And so I don't know exactly. Actually, let me. So we have a tweet here from Benny Johnson. So this is not in Gaza. This is not the West Bank. This is Dearborn, Michigan tonight. An entire theater cheering. Where's the fucking sound? Cheering. What could possibly? I don't get what is in these people's minds. What is it that they are cheering? What is it they think is happening? I don't get it.
Dearborn is a very dense population of Muslim people, and that's where one of the squad is actually. She's the representative.
Ilham Omar, yeah.
Yeah, the one who married.
Okay, that's making a little bit more sense.
Yeah,
Right.
this is also a place that was doing election fraud by reading in English to people who only read Arabic their ballots.
Xander says, I believe a lot of people are using the land excuse to profess hatred for their religion and general existence. I've seen people start with the land outrage and then dive into religious hate. Yep, makes sense to me. It goes on to say, the Israel versus Palestine fighting seems like the conservatives versus BLM. One side throws all they can, and the other side tries not to go down to their level, only to get destroyed in the process. What do you guys think?
I mean, that is definitely one of the breaking points where we're seeing this across, America right now is the political left and the political right. And I've been very disappointed in a lot of people recently that I do support, tangentially, calling for mass military intervention, calling for war. And these are the people who want to go, fix everyone else's problem, but not want focus on the United States. And I feel like that has been a major just bang for blood. These are the same people that says, maybe we should, take, in account how much we have spent in Ukraine, and maybe we should, kind of push on our allies to, hey, why aren't you guys meeting us if this is such a threat to you guys and it's on your back door?
Yeah, and that seems logical. That's all the more reason why I don't want us to have been in Ukraine in the first place, because it's exactly what you're saying. It's like, well, we're certainly closer to Israel. I mean, geographically and as allies, closer to Israel than Ukraine. So if we're sending billions and billions and billions and billions over to Ukraine, then
Joe Biden's son, what are we gonna do?
True. We gotta make sure Hunter has a job. Otherwise,
He has bang hookers in South America.
Otherwise, we're gonna get more dick pics. Nobody wants that.
I have a solution. Are you ready? I just thought of this while you guys were talking.
Please.
We tax the fuck out of BlackRock and State Street, and we take all of their dividend taxes and we throw it all into Israel, and then we bomb the whole Middle East, and then we make just one big condo.
One big condo.
Just one, like would all Syria be like the living room,
and then throw like all the Palestinians in there and just go live.
Oh, well, have you heard about the strip city that's being built in Saudi Arabia? It's a single like long. It's a giant wall that they're looking to build in Saudi Arabia. That is like everything is. There's not going to be any cars. It's all going to be rails, and like it's a giant wall that they're building.
Or like 20-minute city things or.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So again, to kind of draw it back a little bit more to this notion that people are picking sides on this, when clearly it's hard to. First of all, it's hard to get clear information on what's going on right now. It's very complex and nuanced as to what's led up to now. Yet somehow people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm on this side," or "Oh yeah, I'm on that side." Like, did you guys see this this meme from Black Lives Matter in Chicago? And not only I stand with Palestine, but specifically the paratroopers that we saw in the beginning, where it was tourists and just people having a dance thing. So
I need to bring up one point here. That parachute would never work. You don't put a flagpole in your chute. That will cause a rip in there, and that will cause the chute to tear. No, you put it on a carabiner on your back, and then it floats out behind you. Know your parachutes, people. Sorry,
yeah, that's gonna end up in not good. But it's Black Lives Matter, so what do we expect? So what do you guys attribute the quickness with which, like, oh, we're on this side?
But it's hilarious to me because have you ever met a Black Muslim and asked them why they became a Muslim? Because they didn't start off as one, by the way. It's great. It's a great thing. They talk about it a lot, and it's always about women, whatever, right? Rabbi Glickman's going to have a lot to say about this, but I don't really care. I used to do outreach in prisons, sir. So, what they don't understand is like the history of what it would be to be Black and Muslim. Like, if you're Black and you're Muslim, you were a fucking slave. You were an Arab slave.
You were only granted freedom if you converted to Islam.
Correct.
Well, and yeah, and this goes back to when feminism was all about protecting the culture of the Middle East, and it's like that no, you're supposed to have the other perspective. Like, this is where I actually agree with you that women are being oppressed by the government, and they're like, no,
but isn't it ironic that they are pushing for like LGBTQ rights and like fatherless homes at the same time, in the same synonymous way as backing a country who would literally murder 2/3 of these people?
It definitely is. Unwanted Foe said, quick breather for the puppy. Indeed, he needs a breather. Let's give him his treat right there. Yummy. Thank you so much, brother. Very, very much appreciated. Yeah, and I mean, what would it? Again, I'm just trying to think. Like, what is when you're making this, when you're posting this, what is the response that you think you're going to get? That's what I'm so confused as to
apartheid. Of course.
That whole narrative. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. And that really scares me, because I think if that we see how propaganda perpetuates and gets worse and gets more extreme over time. And that's going to lead us to have a lot of people who are, calling their representatives and say, we need to support this, that, and the other. And it's not good. Oh, we have somebody here. Not sure who this is. Frosty Guns 55 said, I'm glad Frosthound is back on this show. I wonder who that could have been. I wonder. But of course, we will give Morty his treat. Thank you, buddy. Very much appreciated.
Sorry, this is my first time. I never know when we're taking a break. I'm very sorry if I sound like a piece of shit.
You're good.
Can we talk about how I talked about apartheid and how it's only natural for there to be violence? Literally, South Africa didn't, though. There was no violence. The most
Go ahead.
Was broken up without a shot. Like, Nelson Mandela did it peacefully. So
but did that peace last? Because are you aware of what's going on in South Africa now?
There is some race stuff happening down there, and it's not great, but it's now kind of roles are reversed.
So then what's the parallel then? What is let's go with their logic that this is an apartheid.
Oranges here. So like saying like South African apartheid, the most famous apartheid, the natural way for things to end in violence, and that has not happened. Like, what you're talking about is genocide, maybe? And I don't know how that would even, what are you likening it to? Which apartheid only ended in violence?
Yeah. What were you going to say about what's going on in South Africa now, Frostdown?
Well, I mean, it is a interesting, comparison here when we're talking about the end of apartheid. Ending apartheid is it is good on its face there, but we do see the racial, majority in that country starting to oppress the racial minority there. And it is one of those thought experiments I have with South Africa in particular here is, one of the great arguments was, the Boer was getting rich off the land, and they owned all the land. Well, the land really wasn't that productive until English, colonialism, and actually started digging canals and aerating those fields and developing farmland. And so they put in the work for that, land. They have had generations and generations of family there, but yet, you're not African, because it goes more to a race thing instead of a culture thing. And I do see that there is still this racialized standard, you're from this area, you don't belong here. And it's just like, it boggles my mind that we're in 2023 and it's just like, you're too white to live in Africa. You can, remember, I'm a Hispano. My family has lived in the San Luis Valley for 300 going on 400 years. We have connections to the Utes. But when you look at me, you're going to only see a white boy. But I have my little abuelita who makes the tortillas and grinds her chilies, and we have our tamales.
Yeah. So Xander has another question here for Jerkolani. He said, "Is there a specific area of Israel that Jews and Muslims both want? I've heard of the Temple of
Jerusalem.
Mount, holy sites, but what is the specific area that both sides want? Like the exact spot?"
So Jerusalem, it's where the first temple was ever built, especially Jerusalem. So like that's something that is it's a highly controversial point, but there was the first temple literally ever built was built in Jerusalem. So I think that would be probably the most controversial area of Israel. They literally say it's like Jerusalem and East Jerusalem now, I believe. I'm not really sure exactly how they split it up, but they still the West Bank is where they say like or is it Gaza on that side?
Yes,
we just looked at the map and I'm like turned around now.
Yeah.
But it's a highly controversial area. So yeah, the one on the right side.
Yeah, on the other side.
Is where Jerusalem is. Yeah, Jerusalem's over there.
Mhm.
So
And you do see where it's broken up, yeah.
Yeah,
so it's kind of hard to see, and then I can't find a good one. But you can see this is a little bit darker than this, and so this is Jerusalem. Is that where this whole thing is Jerusalem, and it's split in the middle here?
Jerusalem technically is the little brown piece, and they call that other part in Palestine East Jerusalem, but it's all Jerusalem.
Gotcha.
And that's why when Donald Trump moved did he move like the UN building there or something?
No, the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
And he named it a part of Israel. It was a very highly controversial thing because it's been something they've fought about over for 80 years.
Well, because both cultures see that area as a holy land, and so that was kind of America putting its thumb on the scale there and saying, like, "Hey,
sorry."
Oh no, good.
My thing is like, put the thumb on the scale. What if Israel took over Mecca or Medina?
They would not like that. They would not like that.
That's our Mecca.
Fair enough. So Rabbi Glickman is saying, look at a and I just clicked on one, so I know
what he's about to talk about.
Is this what I'm looking for? I might I'm not seeing a.
I'll tell you what he's actually talking about. So in 1948, Israel was much smaller. And then after a 9-year war, or there was I think it was about 9 years. I believe it was in the 1960s.
Of course,
it was
like tiny ass
during Yom Kippur, which is the New Year. If you guys don't know,
time lapse it. What the fuck you think I got here, bro? I'm googling pictures. What you mean time lapse it?
Some real pro-Palestinian map where he's like, "Let me show you. It all just says Palestine."
And so what?
Yes, but they did declare a war and they lost.
So wait, are we saying that? So is this Rabbi Glickman's way of saying that it was Palestine? It was originally Palestine, and so it should say Palestine. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
I know where he's going.
Yeah.
What's a ad hominem? I didn't hear an ad hominem.
Well, that or it could be straw man. Rabbi. Do you mean that land was originally Palestinian and it should remain Palestinian, or are you saying just after the war and post-war? Because I can make arguments for the war again, and this is going to be a little bit my Zionist coming out. Starved fucking people who could barely fight, learning Krav Maga. A fight that is for starved refugees, beating back some of the largest military forces and blowing them out of the water.
There you go. So, I mean, if that's not where you're going, Rabbi, I think you have a lot to react to there. Cooter's like, you got to get a 4D geological topographical time lapse with commentary. Yeah, I apologize, guys. I apologize. But the super chats are open if you would like the 4D geological topographical time lapse with commentary.
I messed up. I found my note.
Okay.
It wasn't a 9-month war. It was a 6-day war. It ended on the last day of Yom Kippur. And it was a consolidation of Palestinians. It was a 6-day war that where they took back the Gaza Strip and the West Bank from Egypt and Jordan. So before 1964, Palestine was controlled by Egypt and Jordan.
Hmm.
They could have called it whatever the fuck they wanted to call it, but it was run governmentally by respectively Egypt and Jordan.
And so with the in Egypt and Jordan, was there a mixture of Jews and Muslims? And that's where, you know, this started. Like, how did we get to the place where from where Egypt and Jordan are like, we got this, to now we're like, okay, we need this little spot for the Jews.
1948, there was a land grab, right? The year right after they deemed it Palestine, there was a land grab by Egypt and Jordan, because really they want land and power. It really has nothing to do, like, these countries don't want anything to do with conflict. They just want the power.
The power.
In 1948, they took control of, like, the Palestinian, what would be Palestine now. And then in the 1960s, they formed something called the PLO. It's like the Palestinian Legion Organization, which would then turn into Hamas. And it's a group of all the surrounding Islamic countries that would help fund Palestinians take back their land. But really, it was to help them do a further land grab. And in 60s, lost.
Let's get into this a little bit. The PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, is a Palestinian nationalist coalition that is internationally recognized as the official representative of the Palestinian people. Founded in 1964, it initially sought to establish an Arab state over the entire territory of the former mandatory Palestine, advocating the elimination of the State of Israel. However, in 1993, the PLO recognized Israel's sovereignty with the Oslo Accord, and now only seeks Arab statehood in the Palestinian territories, the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, that have been militarily occupied by Israel since 1967. Interesting. So, I mean, there really is so much here, which only piques my just flabbergastery, if that's a word, at how many people can be so deep into any one camp. It's like everybody's trying to look at, how liberals are always talking about the right side of history, and especially from an American perspective, to be taking a side in this conflict that's not as black and white like that. It's so odd to me. It's so odd. Rabbi Glickman says they sure are losing this land grab she keeps referring to, aren't they? I mean, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, that's why Israel keeps growing and Palestine keeps shrinking. They're the fifth largest military in the world, and you're trying to fight them all the time. And they're gonna be like, "All right, well, you were a bad kid, and I'm gonna take a little bit more of your allowance this week, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more."
Gotcha. Xander says, so knowing how much emotional and knowing how emotional and religious both sides are, do any of you see any chance of peace without full-blown conflict? I feel like the lid has been blown off this conflict, scarily so. I mean, it looks like it from here. What do you guys think?
Blood needs to be paid in blood, but it does not necessarily need to mean all the Palestinians. Hamas needs to be destroyed. And that is the only way I really think, that could really be taken down. If, the Palestinians actually gave up, the people who are working for Hamas and allowing that, it would be a step, to really, start mending fences there, because Hamas did, target that music festival. You do not send paratroopers, against a military target, you don't accidentally send, paratroopers there. That was a planned attack. And that is unexcusable. That was almost the attacks on 9/11. And you can talk about regime change, war, all you want. You could talk about U.S. meddling in the Middle East and causing all Y and Z problems. As soon as you start attacking civilians for that, that's
a
when,
different game. That's a different game. And so theoretically, I agree with you. I'm just I am in the position of I don't want American resources. I mean, again, knowing that we already have resources out there, but I don't want anything more taken away from America for this conflict, even though I believe that it is wrong that these civilians and innocent people were killed. I think that's
why aren't we doing the same thing that we did after the Crusades, which is push for a reformation? use that money that we're using for fucking Ukraine and funnel that $4 billion. How much do we give them? Like $6 billion, $4 billion a day or something psychotic like that.
Yeah. OD. OD.
And
Well,
use
so
that,
so I think you would have. Sorry, go ahead.
and use that money to encourage people who are not Islamists, who are not jihadists, to encourage a reformation, because every other religion, the majority of like popular religion has had some version of a reformation, making them less violent. Like, I think that's the only solution here. You know, you look at Mahim Hersi Ali, I can never pronounce her name right. The one that needs bodyguards all the time. She's like a genital mutilation victim.
Yeah.
And
I think it's Ayan Hersi Ali. Yeah.
She talks about how we need Muslims who believe in freedom, who believe in a reformation, because this, at the base of what this is, it's a beautiful religion. But there are a lot of things in this religion that are horrible. And having a reformation makes it way less violent.
Well, and I mean, I agree with you, but again, what does that look like? How does a reformation, how does that play out? Just getting people to believe the same thing, but just not as much. Like,
getting people to speak out and having people not be afraid. But I don't know. The politics of that, I don't know, because there's so many different countries that are Muslim with varying degrees of laws. So I mean, it would really depend on if we just wanted to change it here. But then there's so many moving parts. It's so hard to figure out what the solution-based thinking to this would actually be, because you move one piece on the chessboard and there's another piece at risk.
Well, and we also have to remember Islam is not a monolith. You know, there's two, major factions,
ironically,
smaller factions that are, the Sunni and the Shia. So those two factions would need to have reformations within themselves as well. To have that.
Don't forget about the Uyghurs over in China.
Yeah, and the Uyghur.
Northeastern ATV Adventures said this Jerkolani girl is cute. She got an OnlyFans.
Sir, no. My Instagram's even private. Who are you talking to like that?
Rabbi said, we're almost 100 years into this now. Aren't we a lot longer than 100 years? But I'll continue. What land will they be asking for 100 years from now? How much land will they have in 100 years based on how much they've grown in the last 75 years? Well, I thought Jerkolani just said that.
Actually, Rabbi, is that allowed? Because if this is a rabbi talking, I want to know what synagogue you talk at, because I want to see these liberals with blue hair. Like, and it's always like that one person who did like a 23andMe who's like, I'm 3% Jewish. Like, I feel like that would be the congregation. It's not an ad hominem. I'm surmising what's happening here, Clickman. I love you. You seem like a nice boy. We're gonna get married.
Rabbi, have you ever thought stop fucking around and finding out? So you stop losing more and more land. Maybe leave Israel alone and let them, kind of, deal with their stuff. Don't get me wrong, there needs to be changes done in Israel. What is happening in Gaza is unacceptable. I take a hard stance against what's happening to the Uyghur Muslims in, Xinjiang. I take a hard stance of what's happening to the Tibetans and the Mongolians in Inner Mongolia. And I will stay, on my path here. And I am disagreeing with what is happening to the Palestinians. But on the same side, fuck around and find out.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Shout out to Logic DB03 said Jewish people know well that they will lose their land after all. It's written on their old books.
Like the Old Testament?
What?
Yeah. If you have a little bit more explanation, that would help us out. Xander says the BLM leftist activists want Israel to fall so they can turn that defeat into an American defeat by waging war here and creating a raging war here and wanting to give our land back to natives, Mexicans, and POCs. Yeah, you think it's that much of like an operation to create the precedent of the because I guess this goes back to the whole colonizer thing. You really think it's I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but they've been trying to do a lot of stuff that's not going to happen lately. That's
yes,
wild.
but the people who are calling, for this land, to be given back, there's some people in the tribes. There's some people, who want. Remember, Hispano, families lived in the San Luis Valley for X 100. We're Americans, all right. You go down to Southern Colorado. There's Trump flags, and we don't get me wrong. We may have become Americans after we lost the war, but we're Americans now, and go fuck yourself.
All right. Well, Rabbi comes back to you with, so when the Palestinians are gone and they turn their attention east, what will you be saying?
That's not our problem. We're to the west of them.
I'm down with that.
What indications do you have that they will push into Jordan, push into Saudi Arabia? Tell me, Rabbi. What is this magic, crystal ball that you're looking into that says yes, they will? They are inherently expansionistic.
Fair enough. One Defoe, actions have consequences. Classic. I mean, yeah, it's the problem is that it's been going back and forth so much that what is the initial action? We've lost sight of that. And so just like, gangs in Chicago or whatever, that it's like, oh, he got my homeboy, but my homeboy got shot by dude, and it's just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I don't see how that is productive. And I can understand that it's not just as simple as saying we need to fix it. We need to whatever. But I'm sitting from the perspective, how can we keep as American safety as strong as possible while this is all going on, especially understanding that we have 1 foot in Ukraine.
For that, I would say definitely, doing, maybe cutting him a deal on some rearmament. Their Iron Dome system is a little bit different than our Patriot system, but we could still start to manufacture these interceptor rockets that they've really used. That's the real major fear I have for Israel right now, is that they have actually tapped a lot of their Iron Dome rockets. And whether that's sending Patriot missiles over there and supporting them that way, I don't believe we need a mass amount of funding there. Not near as what we've seen of Ukraine. But, comparing the two wars is kind of, it's an overstatement because, Israel is...
I'm not necessarily comparing them. I'm just saying that, when we're fighting, again, resources are finite. So we have an issue on the southern border. We have an issue in Ukraine. We have an issue in Israel. This is, like logic is saying here, there's no chance it's actually the beginning of World War III. I've been saying that before this even happened. So
it has the potential to become World War III, because especially if Iran gets in there.
We're in it.
Well, let's hope not, because Albert Einstein famously said the World War III will be fought with technology, and the Fourth World War will be fought with sticks and stones. So hoping that's not true.
Say what you will, I'm the third, nuclear strike on any strike list. So, I'm just going to be, jumping on the street, screaming Armageddon until the bones fall. It's like, ha! I wasn't right.
Very close to New York City, so I'm hoping there's no terrorist attacks. Which is
population centers really aren't necessarily a thing to really worry about. Economic centers, you kind of have a worry there with with New York. But I'd be more concerned about the DC area. That's going to be the head of the dragon, as some would call it, and so that's going to have some major attacks there.
And I still have PTSD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
not really in the think. We talked about this the other day, but I'm not going to let people know that. Anyway,
we'll keep that DL. So the one thing that I think that I've heard a lot about, but we didn't get into, is the Iron Dome. What is the Iron Dome?
This is one of my favorite topics, because military technology is the thing. Most guys have like Sports Illustrated cutouts on their wall and stuff like that. I have Patriot missiles. I have Tomahawk missiles. So I am weapon. I'm a weapon sexual. but the Iron Dome is a fantastic system. Basically, it's using telemetry of, so it has a series of beacons that will go up and monitor the airspace around it. When a aircraft that is not giving off a, I'm forgetting the name of the, but a transponder beacon, saying like, hey, I'm flight blah blah from this place, and it's marked as friendly. The Iron Dome will see that in fast-moving targets like that, where it's like, all right, what potentiality is this? Birds don't typically fly at Mach 2. So when they sense an incoming missile, they will use the telemetry between all the areas of the system, calculate where the arc, the trajectory of the missile, and then fire a countermeasure up that will explode when within range, causing the other rocket to explode midair. And it is an amazing thing to see. The Patriot system, that we have, I'm just going to say, it's a little bit cooler, because hometown pride and all that. And it also has a confirmed kill on one of Russia's supersonic missiles.
Can I say a conspiracy theory while we're here in just 2 seconds?
Really quick, let me introduce our new guest, Melted Mind Media. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. You know how to do it. The floor is yours.
What's up, guys? I'm Melted Mind Media, and I hope you fight the media that melts your mind. Go check me out on Twitter and YouTube.
Beautiful. Just drop the link to his channel in the chat. Awantifo said, yay, conspiracy theories. Hit us with it. Hit us with it.
My tribe. Let's go. So, what if we take the alien technology that we have had that burned the holes in and started the fires in Hawaii and put it in the Iron Dome and specifically targeted the parts of Palestine? Done.
What would, I think I'm following you. What would that do?
Well, I mean, take down the rockets with the Jewish space lasers.
The Jewish space lasers. But like literally they're not even Jewish space lasers, they're like alien space lasers, but it's like fine. We'll make them into Jewish space lasers and we'll put like a big Israel flag on them. And then we'll put it also in the Iron Dome and then it'll protect them and then we have to give them no more money. They now just have
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
They already think the Jews did Hawaii. You're just making it worse. They've already got the technology.
That's fair
well,
enough.
So this is something I did want to bring up, especially with BLM kind of jumping in here, and we have seen a massive amount of anti-Semitism within BLM. A lot of people, going off the teachings of Louis Farrakhan. And I kind of wanted to, that is one of those things where there does seem to be a lot of hatred for the Jews, especially with this idea of the Jews being, a key role in the African slave trade.
Protect Black Hebrew Israelites, the 45 that are actually in Jerusalem.
Well, Xander said, I got another conspiracy for you, Jerkolani. If Israel and the U.S. are so strong militarily, and Palestine is so far inferior, is it possible that the Jewish leadership allowed the attack to happen?
Sorry, there's an air raid bomb in my town. So we're going to have to deal with that.
Usually when we hear that, we drink. So drink up.
Time for... Oh, wait.
Dilly.
I went to a bridal shower the other day, and I actually have an alcohol.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
One singular alcohol.
And here I am
alcohol.
just drinking water.
Well, I was going to ask Melted Mind Media what he thinks about all of this before he ran away. Pooncooter says,
I have to say,
the brown sound. Nobody wants the brown sound.
I just have to say, we have to send Jelani more things on the other side of her room so she can run back, because I enjoyed that thoroughly.
Not gonna lie. So, but Melted Mind Media, what have you, thought about what we've been talking about so far? What, do you have any thoughts or questions that we didn't get to?
So like we talked about earlier, how there's the Democrats that were all holding the Palestinian flag and like all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like what that is actually becoming more prevalent in the U.S. because they passed in that same district. That's where they passed all those Muslim laws that overwrite like their local laws. So like that's where like a lot of these I think it's hilarious that a lot of these like LGBTQ and woke mobs will they'll support this group that is completely against everything that they're for. Like they're huge. Like if you're a part of the LGBTQ, if you go to Palestine, what are they going to do? They're going to throw you off buildings. They're going to stone you. They're going to do all these things. Yet you continue to support this, and you want this to come here and affect you. But yet you say Republicans are racist and all this stuff when you're supporting the actual racist and sexist in Palestine.
Shut up,
Well
you cis.
said. Well said. Any response to that?
Shut up, you cis white man. You're a Zionist.
Oh, okay, jerk. You
Aren't I the only Zionist actually on the panel?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. I think I definitely it sounds like I agree with a lot of your positions, but especially when it comes to anything with the Jews, I am very skeptical to take a position, especially when we're specifically talking about Israel and Palestine, because people will twist things.
Bank
So
account.
say again. They'll take my bank account. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dude, she saved it. Oh man, I thought we were about to have a Corona moment.
Yeah.
Why is it happening? Why is it doing this?
Because it's because you slammed it on the table.
Yeah, you can't. Physics, baby. Unwanted Foe said Representative Tlaib has both a Palestinian flag and a pride flag in front of her office. Yeah, who wants to tell her? Who wants to tell her? Those don't go together.
I used to be really against losing your citizenship to run for office, like from other countries, like, not being a dual citizen. But the more people talk about it, the more I kind of agree with it.
Sorry. This was a good one from Unwanted Foe. The physics. The physics. Good one. So where am I? There was. Oh Jesus, I lost it. Oh Jesus, where did I go? All right, give me 1 second here. Nope. Oh, there we go. So, YouTube gentlemen will be familiar with Raymond G. Stanley Jr., somebody who is a big fan of Timcast. We know him from the server. He has a tweet here that I thought was well stated, and I'd just like to get your guys' thoughts on it. So it was abhorrent what Hamas did on that morning. Pure, unequivocal evil. It is disgusting seeing Americans, far leftists, cheer for and enjoy the death of civilians. It twists my stomach. It's just as ugly as seeing calls for greater retaliation of Israel on anyone who dare reside in Gaza by conservatives. Our office, meaning him, wants nothing to do with the hate these people have in their hearts. Our current main objective is to see the safe return of our fellow Americans who are currently being held hostage by the terrorists. Our hearts go out to the families of those murdered. May the innocent souls of those murdered find the clearing at the end of the path. No sleep will be lost of those if those responsible for the deaths, kidnappings, and torture of our fellow Americans lose and the capability to draw further death. Be kind. Rewind. So let's go to our fresh guest, Melted Mind Media. What do you think of this?
I've talked to Raymond, and he's a really cool dude. And I think that tweet is pretty spot on with I can't believe Americans like our whole entire history has been not killing civilians and stuff like that. Like we, even for all of when Christopher Columbus came over, it's not like we completely wiped out Native Americans. Like they tried, even though it was stupid, they tried to turn them into good citizens of society by teaching them proper Western etiquette. But
all you need is God, right?
Yeah,
all you need is God.
It's definitely weird to see that you now see Americans supporting the death of civilians that are involved, but you also see where a lot of people think that they're not civilians because they think Israel is a militarized zone where there's no civilians, because if you're a part of a military occupancy, then you're not a civilian because you're part of the military. So
right, that's what redhead over there was saying.
I do need to push back on that. Vietnam, for example, they're whole villages have wiped off the map there. America, well, it is my home, and I am damn proud to be an American here. It has its warts, and the Indian schools, for example, are a idea of cultural genocide. that is taking the songs of your people away and just slapping a new, like, you are no longer these people. You are now American. Go forward. And don't get me wrong, I am very proud of my country in general. I believe a lot more good has been done than evil. But on the same side of it too, we do need to hold up those same moral standards, and we need to remember and learn from the mistakes. We need to remember the Sand Creek Massacre. We need to remember Wounded Knee. We need to remember the Trail of Tears and what happened there. And
I haven't forgotten
America. Yeah. Well,
it's just a point being, like, yes, those things happened, but at what point is it? Are we consistently having to pay for the sins of our fathers? And at what point can we say, like, all that stuff that happened before is putting us in a place where this is not working? So if we continue down this road, it's not going to work. And I know that you did this, and then I did that to you. And it's like, you ever been in a relationship, and you get into some arguments, and you realize exactly that. You're like, all right, I did some fucked up shit. You did some fucked up shit. Let's just, let's just start over.
Can I ask you something first?
Go ahead.
So I'm Native American, so I'm asking. You live in, I believe, Chickasaw and Cherokee territory. From what I can understand, I've been to Oklahoma, been to Colorado.
Ute, Ute Indian there, and I believe a bit of Navajo a little bit further to the south.
Navajo what is like the western and northern parts of New Mexico and Arizona.
Hmm.
So I visited there. So my grandmother was adopted. Long and the short of the story is my grandmother was adopted in Kansas, to a place in Kansas. Her mother died. Her father, I guess, didn't want to take care of her. I never met them. She would have been like 100 by now, actually. Lived on a horse farm, burned down. Like, she has a long, whatever, history of that in Kansas. So me and my brother decided to go visit where our ancestors were from, to actually see where they lived. And it was interesting to me. And so when I traveled, because that was in 2020, when I traveled 2021 and 2022, and also this year, if there's a Native American res, like, I'll go and check it out, because I think it's just kind of cool. But Cherokee in specific integrated so much into society that they literally don't even get paid by the government anymore.
As it should be. Stop taking government money.
They are literally, and so much so that Elizabeth Warren could lie about it because they have no fucking registry.
Yeah, okay. But you talk about, you've been to these reservations, but do you know, like, the corruption in these reservations, like how the money is spread out, like
housing authorities in them, the way that they sell and resell homes, repurchase homes, but you see here that, like, their traditions have never stopped. So, like, I went to a sweat lodge from it the first time in my life. It was insane. You learn about, like, how the rocks are your ancestors because they've been here the longest. All the really, really cool stuff. They've never let go of any of those things, even though they've been moved around for a very long time. So I think that saying, like, oh, this, like, when people use the Native American, the Native American metaphor, it's not the same, because Arab people have wandered forever, and Native American cultures, not every single one of them wandered. We literally had to physically remove them from where they were.
Okay, so that's a really good point, but I'm having a hard time actually putting my finger on what that actually means, because I completely agree with you. So can you articulate exactly how that?
Like the Trail of Tears and all those things, like, those things aren't. Two things are not the same. Like, two things can be true at once or whatever, but they're not the same thing. We keep treating things like it's something from history previously. This is a very unique situation with like 8,000 layers, of which the Trail of Tears was not. Like, we did something fucked up. We moved them to a piece of property that we didn't fucking want anymore, or didn't seem useful at the time. And then we were like, oh, fuck, our bad. Let's give you some money for the rest of your life. Whoopsie. My bad.
Right. And so how does that, where does that put us in terms of a solution to the conflict?
And well, I'm saying, like, I think that treating them like we're treating anything else in the past would be a mistake.
Okay, and I agree. Like, so there's no way for us to just have the Jewish reservations to be the analogs to the Native American reservations. I think, don't y'all prefer Indian reservations anyway? Either way,
But for the sake of YouTube, if you say Indians, they get a little weird. So
Well, we're
like,
talking about India, so we're talking about the Indian, reservations
or
in
if you want to get
India.
real weird, call them an Indian. I love when I went to Oklahoma. And they're like, Indian, and I was like, dot or feather.
Yeah, I'm big dot guy. You can be a feather lady. Oh,
Well,
we got.
I do have something to add there. Just like I'm a Zionist, I'm also whatever the Sikh equivalent is. I believe the Sikhs should have a homeland too.
Fair enough. That
I
gets
think
into a whole other thing.
it's hard to say people should have a homeland. So like let's say I make up like, okay, all of a sudden I'm a Calobian and I want my homeland and I think my homeland is this area. Should I get it? Like I think I think as my religious right, I should have the White House. I should have the White House. I should live in the White House. Should I be given the White House because of my made up beliefs and my because I have a claim? Like
before we go to our
grandpa,
before we go to our new panel member, Any Film says reservations are the true prisons because they take away private property rights, which is a path to success in the United States.
Not only
Interesting. And we have indeed our boy Burden. Oh, Daniel. Oh yeah, you were not in thing. Daniel Cabrera, welcome to the party. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very good. How are you guys?
Doing pretty well, man. What are your thoughts on all this?
Ooh, considering the fact that I live in northwestern New Mexico. For me, it's a mixture. I mean, there's some of the native culture that has died, and there's some of it that hasn't. I've met an extreme amount of Navajos. That's who I've got around me a lot. I've met a massive amount of them who don't know Navajo.
Really?
They don't know the language. They don't know a lot of it. They don't know the stories. However, on the flip side of that, I've met a lot of traditional Navajos who then go off and, go so far into that the extremism is flat earth. We come from the Grand Canyon. Everything we've been told is lies. And I literally just had this discussion with somebody today where he's like, no, the Western society's lied to you, man. We came from the Grand Canyon. It's the Hopi Indian thing. It's the Hopi Indian
the earth
creation
open.
myth.
No, they think literally it's
great. Oh no, I don't disagree with that. But my turning point to that then is if you want to take that, well, what about the Navajo creation myth, which is just a little bit different? The creation myths change from little regions. It's kind of like language.
Like they're not trying to fight America. Like they just go, oh, they're lying to you. Because they kind of sound like Vatos down there. It's kind of funny to me, but they always sound like they're like a little bit of a Vato. They're like, they're lying to you.
Yeah, they remind me a lot of my people.
So wait, I got a little lost there. Sorry, I was trying to adjust Mike's things. Who's lying about what?
Okay, so Navajos, at least down here, who are hardcore traditional, who are hardcore all the rest. I believe in the creation myth of the earth opened and we came out of the Grand Canyon type people. They think Western society is lying. The Great Land Bridge, all that shit. It's all a lie. They want, dude, it goes so far as to the English language is a devil language that is poisoning people. It is an interesting talk to say the least.
Interesting. Gotcha.
Believe that rocks are our ancestors. Like they literally believe that if you heat up stones in a like 300-degree tent, it's probably not it's like hotter than hot yoga, which gives me a panic attack every time I go. And I'm like, why did I come here?
Shout out to Kreda Forever said, I don't buy the land bridge. He's with Daniel.
Then you must be a Native American, girl. Go off.
No, I'm all about the land bridge. I'm all about migration. Come on now.
Yeah,
we've got proof and evidence of this.
Yeah, any films, because that's what I was going to ask you. If this was a just something you were thinking of, or something that's well established. So any films right here. So to be fair, there is evidence of occupation in North America before the land bridge existed. Craig said, I'm only 1/6. That I think that counts as far as most people. Welcome to the party.
I'm like an eighth somewhere, so it doesn't. I don't. Yeah.
I'm 1/4 or. Oh my gosh, what is it? My grandma is a half. Oh my gosh, Plains Indian.
So he was half. So you're
I'm a quarter Plains Indian.
So let's kind of get back to the heart of the issue here. So both you guys on the bottom there are newbies. I would love to hear what you think is what can we do? We meaning Americans, and then separately, we meaning people who don't want Hamas to be terrorizing people.
Go ahead, Melty. I'll throw the unpopular opinion in a second.
So I'd say the best way to as the United States is obviously like we throw money everywhere. That's probably the only thing we really can do. If we send in our own troops, that would just become but I don't think it's a good idea, but that's probably the only way we could help. And then the way you could do it yourself is by just getting out there and speaking about how you're against those beliefs and you're against what they do and what Hamas is doing, and you need to figure out your points and just talk to people and show them why Hamas isn't the best, isn't the good guys in this situation.
Daniel, so you got something a little spicy for us?
Pretty much.
All right.
Given the fact that I live in New Mexico, I understand the fact that the big border crisis is, sure, some of it's in Texas, a lot of it's here. There's shit tons of meth, of fentanyl, of all of that crossing New Mexico borders.
Isn't that because of Walter White?
Yeah,
I don't care who it's because of. My main thing is here's the deal. I don't care about Israel and Palestine. I don't care about the Ukraine. I care about my country and my people.
I said shit. Me too.
I sound xenophobic as fuck, and I really don't care.
No, I don't
Get
think
out.
you sound.
Leave it alone. We don't need to be anywhere near it.
I don't think you are the minority opinion at all. If anything, I think that's what most Americans are feeling. Because we see the rising food prices, we see the rising rent prices, and we see the problems that are happening here, and it makes it real damn hard to give a shit about other countries here. The only reason I am even talking about this is because this is in my area of expertise.
Would you guys change your mind if they attacked America? If we had a terrorist attack in America?
The whole fucking Middle East at that point. Send them flying.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Mounty. That is, I had made a note and I had completely forgot, and I wanted to ask you guys, specifically Jerkolani and Frosthound, if you think that the southern border crisis is connected to, or could be connected to, possible terrorist attacks in America coming from Hamas.
I'll let lady first.
They've been reporting that for the last 3 days, I think it is, that there's reports coming from the southern border that there's going to be attacks in most major cities. I mean, and Hamas even called for Islamic people to attack people that they know are Jewish. Like, the idea that she would call on a group of people, 1 billion people, say, hey, if you know a shifty fucking Jew, have some fun. Like, that's a terrible thing.
Yeah. And just okay, let's just go around. So Frosthound, I assume if there's reports of this, then it's not really a matter of if, but how worried about this, about Hamas attacking America, should we be?
Hamas agents themselves, I'm more worried about people who are sympathetic, who may not be a card-carrying member of the cause. But I do put the risk. The attack is called for this Friday, October 13th, to do a massive attack. And
yikes!
I was right about what, and this was the whole point where I was correct about my call about why Hamas did this. This is a call to arms. So for the United States, I would put it at a moderate threat. I would go the terror level. Warning level. I put this in the yellow or orange. There is a good chance here that there could be minor attacks. My biggest concern right now is the flood of migrants that have been happening in Europe. I do believe there will be a massive terrorist attack in Europe, on Friday.
Wow. And Frosthound did predict what we just saw at the beginning of this. So hopefully you're wrong, but I don't know if you're going to be. So I have one more thing here that I think is going to be interesting. Actually, let's get what Nuanced Bro retweeted this. So from memory, senior Hamas official Ali Baraka, we have secret. Well, he says it, but Nuance says once again, it appears America and the American people will suffer due to our support for Israel. I struggle to see the upside or benefits being worth the cost. Only democracy in the Middle East. Why should I care? Exactly what Daniel was just talking about. The 0 hour was kept completely secret.
Shithead. Lay down.
A limited number of Hamas leaders knew it. The number of people who knew about the attack and its timing could be counted on one hand. This is coming from senior Hamas official. In the past couple of years, Hamas has adopted a quote unquote rational approach. A rational approach. It did not go into any war and did not join the Islamic Jihad in its recent battle. Sounds like bullshit. Tell me, stop me at any point if you guys want me to.
Well, hold on. I wanted to speak on that question you had asked earlier about Hamas attacking the U.S.
Okay, sure, yeah.
I think on a long enough timeline, sure, they're going to do it. I think any immediate moment, fuck no. They're not stupid enough. Here's the main reason. Up until Pearl Harbor was attacked, we were 100% out of the war. Then Pearl Harbor was attacked. We unified as a country. We walked in. We started whipping ass. 9/11, same basic concept. We were all fighting amongst each other, bickering, pissing, moaning. 9/11 gave us a rallying point. We attacked an entire two countries for almost no reason for 10 years.
I do need to kind of push back on that because it is not the Empire of Japan is completely different from a terrorist organization. And I do believe America has quite a sense of war weariness because of the past 20 years we've spent in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I think American citizens have that.
I wish for that to happen here so we can all get the toilets like they have in Japan where they clean your butt too.
You mean a bidet? You can order those on Amazon.
I have one.
She got a dirty ass. She got a dirty ass. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I clean it all the time, bitch. But I'm just saying, it's like y'all see me fucking get up. I got a big booty, so like that's a lot of work. Okay? You gotta, asshole.
She did come with the receipts when she went to get whatever the hell she got. Fair enough.
I think y'all are focusing on the you guys are already planning for like when the terrorist attack happens. I'm thinking false flags. I'm thinking the U.S. government wants to get into this really bad, and then
the government wants to, yeah, but I think the second that they actually do attack, that is when the populace will sit down, and I think Frosty's correct 1,000%. We are wary of war. Nobody wants a war. Look what my statement was right at the beginning. But you come attack us right off the bat? No, we're a very vengeful country. We will come smack the shit out of you right back.
But why are you so confident that they wouldn't do it? Like, I understand what you're saying that after Pearl Harbor that we got into the war, but if this is what they want, if they want a jihad across the world, like exactly took the words right out of my mouth. Shit is gonna go down. Why? I agree that it seems to be like a matter of when and not if. What makes you so confident? I mean, I would love if you're correct. I'm just not.
Like I said, on a long enough timeline, I guarantee they'll do it. But I don't think they'll do it short term. They don't want to poke that big of a bear that quickly, man. They want to start a little smaller than that. That way they can start gaining, smaller places to start, agreeing with them. If they get us to attack and obliterate right off the bat, all they've done is martyr themselves. Sure, somebody else will take up a flag, but I don't think anybody's going to be able to actually fight that same battle.
How many years
we
did
have
it take?
seen.
How many years?
Go ahead, Frosthound.
Go ahead, Frosthound.
All right. We have seen, that it is an obliteration. These, insurgent wars taking hold. Warfare, could be at the end, of its lifespan. I, really am quite certain that we can no longer take and hold victory because of civilian grade drone technology and civilian grade, 3D printing, allows you to arm your people more. And a war will only end when one side runs out of the means to fight that war. With how technology has gone today, we're going to see endless wars here. And it is not. This was my initial call when Hamas attacked Israel. Hamas wanted to get Islamic countries to attack Israel. Hamas could further this if they really get the United States to join in. Because they could honestly, drive a lot more Islamic states to say, well, look at us, the great Satan is, coming out. We have to fight for Allah. We have to, this will be a completely religious war.
Well, and it's very interesting because we have a running poll right now. And you guys know that I use a very vague language because I don't want, I like to see how you guys interpret stuff. And so the poll is simply, who are the bad guys? And the options are Israelis, people who do this for God. 3 is Palestine, and 4 is Hamas. And guess which 2 are tied? The people who do this for God and Hamas. So it's very clear that and I mean, this is not going to be solved, but as a core issue of this channel, that dogmatic thinking is such a bad thing. Everything spirals back down to, if you have this belief that you will not allow to be questioned, shit like what we're seeing right now inevitably will happen. It's not a question of if, it is a question of when. Anybody want to respond?
Well, I mean, what could possibly counteract that? Are we talking about the idea of completely outlawing religion?
No, but I would love to, I would love to create a culture where we have the values of what we would call an American identity, that we believe in the same things that a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim might believe in as an American. But you don't have there's no truth claim that you need to believe in order to accept. I think a lot, especially on the cultural right, we spend a lot of time fighting over how we got to the beliefs that we all share. It's like we all believe that we should care about family and community and grace and forgiveness and merit and capitalism and all these things. But because I believe in those and you believe in those, but I believe in those because of things that I've seen in the world and moral philosophy and this and that, and you believe in this because you believe in God and God says so, so that's it. The problem, even like it's not an issue in terms of us coming together to defeat a different ideology with different values. But when it comes to the values that we hold, and we see that we don't actually need that religious aspect, then it should really just fade over time. But it's not going to get that opportunity if we always come back to, nope, you have to have God. That's just a bad religion. That's just a bad dogma. Ours is better. Yeah, we went through a Reformation and we did, but the core idea that it is okay, not just for an individual, but for a group of people, and even worse, a country itself, a government, to operate on ideas that are unfalsifiable, will always end in this type of terroristic. It's a zero-sum game. It's a zero-sum game. They all say, I have the right God, and you are wrong, and so you must die for that. And there's no argument there to be had.
It is a little bit difficult, because we had this discussion recently, about where do morals and ethics, come from, and can you be a moral and ethical person without faith? And I do believe, that faith is a fundamental, because that is someone higher than yourself that is looking down at you to live up to those morals. Because I can make all the excuses in the world of why I should do this. I'm starving, so I'll just steal this loaf of bread. There's all kinds of justification for it. But I do feel like religion is one of those things where it is like, I can't do this because someone is watching me. Someone higher above me is watching me. And you can disagree with that, but that is one of my fundamental beliefs.
And I'm not trying to take that belief away from you, nor am I trying to take any religious belief away from anybody. I'm just trying to point out that the only end game to holding that belief is what we're experiencing right now. Yeah. And for Christians, it kind of came to coalesce during the Crusades and stuff, but it goes in cycles. And obviously, Islam is a much newer religion, but Judaism isn't. So, I mean, it's not about all this talk about trying to find solutions and how can we fix this. If there's no way to come to meet on the middle ground because we're so dogmatic about no, this is right, then there is no solution. Then people die, and then more people come, and more people die. That's it.
My question is, why are we treating this like we're truly we're treating this like we're in charge of them, like we're their parents? Like, why are we trying to stop two alligators in the wild from fighting? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. If we want to give
because
money,
we think we're Steve Irwin.
True.
I mean,
shout out to Helga. Has Towner. Sorry, I'm terrible with names, but shout out. Great question here. So those of you who don't, those of you who are religious and put that very, very much forward in your life, which I think again for the most part is a good thing because otherwise we get leftists. So that don't we're almost at the point of splitting hairs here, but it's not. Towner says, but how do you justify that some of the most secular states in the world are also the states that score the highest in human development? Great question. I mean,
I'd like to hear what you think there.
Who?
You.
I mean, get rid of religion. That's the so Towner is with me and agreeing that religion leads to destruction.
But then we get communist Russia.
Say again.
But then we get communist Russia. We've seen this play out before. And we got communist
Russia did, get rid of all religion, and you were.
What are you talking about? Russia is Orthodox. Russia's main religion is the Christian Orthodox. What are you talking about? You can't be like, oh, and then we get communist Russia. You mean the Christian Orthodoxy that took over Russia?
Welcome.
We should get Steven in here because he'd be the first one to know. He was born in the USSR, so
So, but the idea is that you don't just ban religion. It is good that people have a moral structure. That's not the bad part. The bad part is the dogma.
Dogmatism,
and so we just need to start living by values and literally stop arguing about the religious aspects. If you share values with somebody, then just share those values.
That's It's like the cool girl fighting with the weird girl in school, right? You're never gonna stop.
Never been there.
Never had that moment in my life.
Not really relatable thing. If you want to explain,
you're fighting over the tiniest, babyest difference. That really, to the human eye, nothing really makes a difference.
Okay.
So you're never gonna stop people from segregating each other. It's literally within human nature. Whether it's from religion, from race, for whatever you have. It is within human nature to want to divide and categorize things. I don't know why. I'm not a fucking biologist. I'm not a sociologist. But I'm going to tell you, throughout history, we've divided people by sex. But then I'm getting into Foucault, which is fucking disgusting. So I'm not going to go there. But,
I'm not saying we can't have categories. There's nothing is about saying categories. I am very much saying that we the people who hold the values of community and grace and family and country and all of these things, we are one group, and then there's another group who doesn't care about any of that and hates America and despite living here and is on the side of Palestine right now. I'm not saying we can't have groups. The problem is that we just assume that religion is the highest form of categorization, and I reject that. I think we can do better, but everybody's like, no. Well, if you do this, then it's going to be communism.
The average
And
IQ
that's because you didn't replace the values. You just took away the religion. And then that to fill nihilism, a lot of people aren't strong enough, emotionally, philosophically strong enough to push through nihilism to find the beauty in the absurd.
Most people are, their IQ is at or about 90 to 100. You have to understand like what that actually means for the world. Like not everyone's functioning at these high levels of like understanding of things. So like while you're saying that, like,
so everybody's just too dumb to avoid destruction.
Just because people are stupid doesn't give them the right to be destructive over other people's life choices.
What barbarians aren't they by nature stupid? Because they have no other.
Well, what are so comparisons of other things like us compared to like a Neanderthal is the Neanderthal is stupid, but at the time the Neanderthal was one of the smartest living creatures on Earth.
Yeah, but we're now a Neanderthal to like any rocket scientist now have them have a conversation. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
but being smart doesn't equal the same.
Like who like bets on posts all his bets on Instagram about like whatever fantasy football league he's in, as if that's a full situation. Sorry if I'm attacking men in here, but it's not real. It's actually fantasy is literally in the name.
Okay.
But like
you lost me.
Talk about geopolitics. Do you know what I'm saying? Like not everyone has this great understanding of how the world works, so they just go, "Oh, this is horrible." Like
right. So everybody was born with everybody was born with the church rules. Or were they taught those rules?
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're trying to backtrack things as if everyone has the same understanding as we do.
I'm looking to the future. I'm saying everybody who has their religion, you keep your religion and see that all those of us who agree with you but happen not to share that religion are on your side. And there's people who are not on your side. There are people who are trying to take away your ability to practice your religion and want to corrupt your children and so on and so forth. I am not your enemy simply because I believe a different thing than you. I live by the same, and I'm not talking to you specifically, but I'm saying this is the pushback to saying, well, we need religion, and we are at a place. It is 2023. There is a giant swath of the population who is. I was brought up Catholic. I was confirmed in the Methodist Church. I believed as if there was no other way to believe. Being an atheist never came into my consciousness until I actually started trying to get closer to God and actually read the Bible, and that's a whole other story. But there's so many people like me who are never, despite all the effort and genuineness in the world, cannot get back a belief in God. So either there must be something greater than religion to bring people together, or we're all fucked. Those are the only two options. Because religion is everybody being a religion and everybody being the same religion is not ever going to happen. That is silliness.
My argument there, though, is when you don't have
exactly
with a fundamental like, so we can go back to religion. Religion has spread up in almost I would say all human civilizations. That is not just a fluke there. There is something there that is speaking out to the need for a higher power. And some of the religious practice can be definitely looked down upon. The ideals of the moral and ethical guidelines that were set out were kind of reflections of moral and ethical values that you had as a culture there. And we see here mostly in the West, and this is the one thing I do kind of agree with Islam on, is there's a lot more worship of the self. There's a lot more worship of the Sound of Silence song. Worship the neon gods they made, and I do believe without that conduit, whatever it be, whether it be a Taoist teachings of trying to reach inner enlightenment, whether that is Christians believing in that their sins are forgiven and trying to live a moral life, I do believe without that conduit and that cultural touchstone, that people just look in on themselves.
I mean, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I just think that we're again, it comes back to there's only two ways that this ends. There's only two ways that this ends. We either as 3IG, 34G said religion is the forerunner of the modern system of rights and laws, which again, agreed. It will exist for a long time. Again, agreed. Until people move on to the next level of consciousness. As Carlin said, I worship the sun or something like that. Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
and so,
Wow.
I mean, you know, as Budsky's asking us to bring it back to Israel and Ukraine, that is why I have an issue really sinking my teeth into any of this, because it's like if you both are just saying, no, you have the wrong God, no, you have the wrong God, obviously very simplified, then I don't see any other end than nuclear war.
It is really hard because Israel, does break up into a secular and a bloodline kind of case. So you have religion that is intermixed with the geopolitics here. So there is your God is better than my God. There's also racial tensions. If you're I'm of Israel and you are X, Y, and Z here. So it's a multifaceted war here. When we have human rights troubles. We have religion, and we have cultural issues that are fighting on this stage right now.
Well, I can't say I'm the most learned on the subject, but I think it does also go just a bit deeper than oh, you have the wrong God. I think it also goes down to a fact, and correct me if I'm wrong. I know there are people here who will know better, but I also think it goes down to the fact of my God's laid claim to this land, which is fucking insane.
Yep.
Jesus on Zillow, looking around for houses.
God said here. Yeah, I mean, it's...
he uses apartments.com. He uses Jeff Goldblum's app.
So we had a... who was it? we already got to that one. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, so let's... Daniel, you'd kind of wanted to... we had skipped over you for something, and we were talking about this. So let's go back a little bit here. Okay. And see what they were saying, because I did want to get your guys' thoughts. So this guy's saying, in the past couple of years, Hamas has adopted the, quote, rational approach.
Yeah, shoot them all until fucking we win.
It did not go into any war and did not join the Islamic Jihad in its recent battle. Again, this is the leader of Hamas. But all this war was part of Hamas's
that
strategy.
Explains a lot.
Yeah, all of this was part of Hamas's strategy in preparing for this attack. And you're saying, of course, I made them think. Oh, what? That's that one. Oh, where's the thing? Hold on.
Believe my words, not your lying eyes.
Of course, we made them think that Hamas was busy with governing Gaza, and that it wanted to focus on the 2.5 million Palestinians in Gaza, and has abandoned the resistance altogether. All the while, under the table, Hamas was preparing for this big attack. The rockets of the resistance cover all of Palestine. Where would Netanyahu take the Israelis who were attacked? To Tel Aviv? We bombed Tel Aviv on the very first day of the attack. Does he want to take them to Galilee? The northern front with Lebanon has opened today. Galilee is no longer safe for the Zionist enemy. We can bomb Galilee from the inside occupied Palenstine. In order to keep the attack secret and safe, and different factions, our allies do not need to know the 0 hour. But after half an hour, all Palestinian resistance factions were contacted, as were our Hezbollah and Iran. The Turks were also notified. So just kind of stopping right there. What do any of you guys have a good idea of, like, because clearly this is not a rational approach to parachute into a music festival. So what are your thoughts on how he's painting this?
I mean, I'd say it makes it worse, because when we're when you're looking like we're really going to care for our people, we're focusing on governing. Meanwhile, we're planning this major attack, the whole time. It's just like you're obviously not looking out for the best of your people. You're not actually putting your honest attempt at trying to increase the standard of living for your people. Instead, you are just focusing on the war. And it's stupid to think, where are the people going to run? Well, they're not going to run, bud. The IDF is going to fight you for every inch of ground. and like, oh, they took over a military base. You had a military base, you had a forward operating base with maybe about 40 guys, and like American armor and American tanks, and like all this, like you're posing this as some great victory. Yeah, you Zerg swarmed one base. And look how that got your shit kicked in, and now you're cowering. And it's like, hey, if you guys don't stop bombing us, we're going. You're going to force us to kill the hostages. And it's like, oh, maybe you should have planned this out. Fuck around and find out.
Passionate. Anyone else? Because I mean, this guy's clearly spinning the story and making it okay to
he's moving
attack
the goalpost on what actually is. Rational, right? I mean, like, I guess in comparison to what? The Crusades? Sure, rational. In comparison to things historically? Sure, rational. I mean, this is no better than suicide bombing, which was their previous mode of jihad. So like, what does rational mean to him? Because clearly it's not a unilateral, oh, we're thinking more clearly, unless he's thinking more clearly in how to destroy the Jews. Because that's the only thing I can actually see.
Yeah.
Well, that was it. That's exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
The rational plan was, hey, we got to, lull them into security and then sit down and fuck them over. Ha ha ha.
You chose a holiday, Sukkah. Okay, Sukkot, which is, so they build the thing called a sukkah. It means a hut or a shack, whatever it's called. I'm sure Rabbi will, clarify my Hebrew at some point. So, and they build these huts out of wheat, and they're also known for drinking grain alcohol and doing prayers in them. You chose a fucking holiday where you knew people would be a little bit lit up and not paying attention. It comes at the heels of the new year. Like it seems very well thought out, and like it had been being planned for quite a while.
True. And I mean, shout out to Mountain Goat here saying Hamas beheaded children. There is no rationality to that. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, sorry. Go ahead,
I do need to caution. Pardon me. You need to be cautious about some of those because we all remember the opening days of Ukraine. It goes to Kiev, and stuff like that. They have a narrative to paint there. I do believe, that some atrocities were committed there, but do not, just say, well, they're killing babies here. The early 90s, with the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, the woman testifying that Saddam's forces were taking babies out of incubators, proved that was not true. I do believe the music festival attacks and videos that we got there are more than enough of a casus belli to go there. We don't need to overblow that and then like, haha, you got taken in with this fake information. Go off what we have for now. When we can confirm that, then we can go off that.
But these are people who hold pernicious beliefs. Like you have to think about it like this. Like these are people who believe in child brides, and that you're allowed to rape your wife if she doesn't give you sex. Like
women shouldn't be allowed to go in the streets without having covering on, without their man.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, look at the fact that when we were fighting in Iraq, some of the things that they were doing was not just adult suicide bombers. These were 10 and 12-year-olds.
We're literally dealing with a similar line of thinking as like Liberia. Like, I don't know if you guys know anything about Liberia, but there were child soldiers there. So like, and they like eat their hearts. It's a lot of like, we're dealing with a group of people who do not share any commonality in morals. Zero.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the people who are doing the insurgencies. I'm not saying 1 billion Muslims. I'm saying these are people like these people who are doing this jihad wholeheartedly believe in martyrdom. Like, it's, if that's logical, then I don't want to see how that progresses.
Well said. So I know you got to run. Any last words for the people? Anything you want to shout out?
Allahu Akbar.
Thank you so much for joining. You were a pleasure. And it was a really interesting conversation. And hopefully you can join us in the Discord after party when you're done with whatever you're doing. Thank you so much. Let's everybody say Jerkolani in the chat. Let's get to know where you went. I was about to pull you up.
Have
If
a
you
good
come
one.
back, take care. Let's get to know where you went. If you come back, we're good to go because you're we kind of we're closing up here. We had somebody in the back.
Person left, so now it's time to go. No longer interested in the conversation.
Yeah.
Well, no, we had somebody else backstage, and we were talking, and then he left. So I don't know. So I guess let's just go around then. And final thoughts on where what should people take away from this? What should people be aware of? What should people do? Okay, Butsy's coming back. Yeah, you come on back, buddy. Come on back. There we go. Shout out Budsky. Welcome to the party. Keeping it riding. If anybody wants to donate for this party still goddamn going, I won't be mad about it. How you doing, Budsky?
Fine, you guys?
You gotta go.
Pretty good. So why don't you give us a little background on what you know about the whole conflict and what kind of perspective you're coming from?
So, well, I'm from South America. I'm from Chile. I'm Jewish, and the perspective. Sorry for my English. I'm not like English speaker, like first language. So, sorry about that. And
all right.
My way of seeing this is I support. Yeah, of course, I support Israel, but I also support Palestine.
Okay.
So I've heard like from different people that it's really weird that you support both of them. The thing is, Hamas is not Palestine, and that's what I don't support. The terrorist attack from Hamas to Israel, to anybody living there. Like there were all kind of people from all around the world in this festival, for example. And there were Thai people. There was a German girl that they said that it was dead, but I think they found her that it wasn't dead. I don't know exactly what happened there.
So what do you think? What do you think we should be doing as Americans? What do you think should be our level of involvement in this conflict?
I mean, this is something that affects everyone. Hamas, they have been open, saying that Israel is the first step. They're not going to stop. There's a saying that if Hamas stop fighting, there's going to be peace. If Israel stop fighting, there will be no more Israel.
That makes sense. But again, that I don't. What would again because we've kind of gone through the details of obviously not in great detail, but kind of how we led up to here. We saw some videos of what's going on. We saw some people who are waving flags and cheering for Palestine and by virtue for Hamas. And then obviously on the other side we have the Israeli people who feel that they have their holy land and their home. And that's been a long-term conflict. So what is what is it that you think we can do from here? That's the real question. What can be done?
So I think the woman that was before me, she said something like really interesting. This is a fight that it's been going for a long time. With everything that's happening, and there's not much that America can do. Like,
I agree.
You have to remember that Hamas, ISIS, Al Qaeda, Hezbollah, it's the same. So the last time, not the last time, but the same happened. By the way, I live in US right now, so U.S. went through the same. So I know it's a little insensitive. 9/11 happened here in the United States, and I have been seeing the videos of people claiming that Israel deserved it. American people saying that America deserved it. And I think, does America deserved 9/11?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So
But I
why
mean,
then?
it happened, and then we get into a forever war, and I don't like that either. So let's go to Frosttown. What do you think we can take away from what we know, what's going on, what we can expect from the future? What can people do? What can people pay attention to, and what can people be aware of?
As far as the American's perspective, I would take it, or we're talking about a global. All right. So American perspective, watch out for the people who are the first ones to jump onto the to the dogs of war. Nikki Haley should be completely kicked out of the GOP debates, just because she has no idea on how geopolitics works. She says, in that last debate, well, I will get special forces to go take on the cartels in Mexico. That's not how you win these wars. And someone who is such a war hawk, who doesn't have a basis in military or history, making the like it's rah look how cool our equipment is. We have some of the best equipment in the world. We have some of the best fighters in the world. But on the same side of it too, not every solution is a hammer. Sometimes it needs to be the scalpel. And my solution to Mexico is investment in Mexico, investment in South America. To keep to stabilize that country and allow better income to be a better paying job to be accessible there will keep people from crossing our border more than this border fence. Though I'm still in favor of the fence, just for purely security reasons.
Fair enough. All right, melt it,
bro. All I want to say on that is Nikki Haley strikes me as the person who would hire the Navy SEALs to try to take out Ant Flo.
Yeah.
Yup. So what do you think about moving forward? Daniel, what can we do? What can we prepare for? And what should we be aware of?
Moving forward, prepare for poor decisions from our government.
Well said.
And I mean, they're going to do it in some form of twisted attempt to mean well, but it's just going to be poor decisions overall. Be prepared for all of our shit to go up, man. We're going to get screwed on the back end of this because our government doesn't know how to stop throwing money at stuff that we just don't need to be involved in.
Well said. How about to you, Melted Mind Media? What do we take from this? You're muted.
It's muted. Yeah.
My God. Good thing I wasn't saying anything yet. The idea that you definitely need to gain from this is you need to gain speculation. You need to start speculating things more. You can't believe everything you see from even the people around you. They know as much as you do. You also have to be prepared for red flags because there's a lot of people that want us to be a part of this war. You have to do your research and you have to find the understanding of why things may happen the way they do and who has the gain from why they happen.
Well said. And Budsky, what do you think about final words on exactly, false flags. Final words for the people. If you have anything to shout out, if you have anything to say about the any of the things that we talked about, if you have any social media that you want to plug, let the people know. The floor, sir, is yours.
No, just wanted to share that I don't have any social media. I mean, I do, but nothing interesting. I've been sharing news and what I think it's needed to be shared for everybody. I'm here just because I've seen a lot of people not understanding the seriousness of this. I just share on Twitch a link of a news site saying that the Hamas declared this Friday it's going to be like a mobilization day.
Yeah, that's what Frosttown was saying before. So definitely be aware, Friday the 13th. I want to thank you so much for hanging out, Budsky. Definitely come on back. And I know you just joined the Discord, so you got the free chat there. If you would like the rest of the Discord, where we are headed to the video chat channel to have their after party, that is for members only. You can hit the join button below and get 24-hour access to me and my boys. All of us are in the Discord, and we are headed right over there. Budsky, thank you so much for hanging out. Until next time, take care. All right, I see Daniel. Final words for the people. I believe you have some maybe something coming up on the horizon. Maybe you want to talk about.
Well, everybody, just stay happy, stay healthy, stay hungry for everything newsworthy, and keep your eyes out, because sometime soon, you might be looking at some stuff that's just off center.
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much for hanging out, brother. I am sure I will see you over in the after party. See you there. All right, my good friend Frosttown. Frosttown, thank you again for you're always such a wealth of knowledge. It is it's amazing to see how much you know about so many different things. It is really really cool. Any final words for the people? Anything you want to shout out? Any social media? Anything at all? Please let the people know.
I have one joke. If no one does their terrorist acts in a Jason costume, I'll be extremely disappointed. It's Friday the 13th. So you can't miss that one. But I have one shout out for a colleague of mine, one of my good friends, who took umbrage with me claiming the title of historian while I'm still working on my degree. Haha, screw you. I'm still a historian.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. Well, thank you again so much. Again, you are a wealth of knowledge, and it is very, very much appreciated. You have a good one. And hey, come join us in the after party. Peace out. Melted Mind Media. I know you know how to do the thing. Let her rip.
I'm Melted Mind Media, and I help you fight the media that melts your mind. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter at Melted Mind Media.
And of course, I just dropped his channel in the chat. Thank you, brother. I'm hoping that I will see you over in the after party as well. Later. So guys, we this was not it was out of my depths a little bit. We were out of my depths a little bit. And it's always important to, even though I don't know too much about what we were talking about, to be able to bring on people like Jerkolani, to be able to bring on people like Frosttown is something that I really enjoy doing, just for myself, and I love the way that you guys engage with it as well. So before we end, let's go with some comments here. Buzz Anderson, obviously, when we have guests and we got a whole panel, it's not as easy to call everybody out as you're coming in, but it is very much appreciated. Buzz says people are saying that the Biden admin is going to be flying Palestinians in large numbers to save them, and many are radicalized. Yep, I'm with Soil the Soul. That I hadn't heard that either, and it is very interesting for all the wrong reasons. Thank you for being here. Very much appreciated. I'm gonna call you 34G if that's cool with you. Had enjoyed Daniel. He is always a good one. Shout out to Daniel. So this was a good live talk. Thanks for putting it on. Appreciate what you do. Thank you so much. I appreciate what you do. Historian in the historical sense of the word, right? Yeah, it doesn't always have to be that you have a professor who told you all this stuff. All the information's on the internet. And I guarantee you, if you just look at what the curriculum is for historian doctorate program and just read all the shit, you'll probably do it faster and you'll probably learn it better. And I would say that Frosttown is absolutely a historian in every sense of the word. Shout out to Budsky again. Said thank you for the respectful chat. Thank you for coming up. I always appreciate different perspectives. And I wish you'd gotten here a little bit earlier. We've been going for a little while. Back in the old days, I'll be going for 5 hours, but I just don't have it in me anymore. But Thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate it. Let's give a big thank you to Unwanted Foe for the $2 super chat. The man himself, Frosty Guns, if you didn't get it, was himself, Frosty Hound, donating to the stream in more ways than one. Thank you. And of course, we would be remiss if we did not thank the sponsor of the stream, Xander Crew. Thank you, buddy. Really means a lot. I don't, I hate asking for money, and I hate all of that. I do this because I love it. I do it because I don't have any fucking friends, and I need to hang out with you guys. But it is, what I'm trying to do with my life. It is what I want to be my job. And the more that you guys support me, the better I can do for you. The more reach I have, the better people we can get on the channel, the deeper conversations we can have, and the more we can learn, the better we can battle the things in society that we are trying to battle. That is all dependent on us working together. And I promise you, I will always be here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I will be in this spot. As long as you're in your spot, and if you got a little cheddar, that don't help. But either way, I appreciate you, each and every one of you guys. I know you could be spending your time doing anything else, but you are here where we are actually trying to fix America, and maybe a little bit more, if I'm not too ambitious. Thank you again, guys. Once again, I have been your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. The second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, I am out of here. Peace.